Man, I'd like to welcome everybody back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where you come to get a little motivation, a little uplifting inspiration, and just some positive words. I hope everybody's having a great start to their new year. I hope if you have resolutions, you're keeping up with them, staying true to your word, and and continuing to better yourself. And for me, man, this week's been a good week. I got a lot of people following me because of the little videos that I'm posting. So I just want to thank everybody who started following me. Thank you for everybody who's been following me. And even if you're not following me, thank you for everybody who's watching, liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share the podcast. Listen, I want to keep growing. I want this year to be the year that I can finally retire from working 9 to 5 so that I can focus on doing this full time. But even if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna continue working until it does. But speaking of working until it does, that leads me to, one of the topics that I want to talk about today is if you're not willing to work for it, how bad do you really want it? Because again, you know how it goes when you're just talking to people and they love talking about things that they want to do or things that they're trying to do or things that they see on TV or on video. Because the beautiful thing about now is you can see people doing things that you want to do, whether that's something like you want to start your own business and people are talking like the vending machine business. You see enough people saying, hey, $2,000 for a vending machine, another $200 a week or whatever it is to fill it up and things like that. So you have plans, you have templates, you got people showing you how to make things happen. So that's the good thing about today's time, is that almost no matter what you want to do, there's probably some type of video of somebody already doing it, whether that's getting your auction license and getting cars at a good price and fixing them up, or just selling them as is. Whatever you're trying to do, there's videos out there for you, people who've done it before you, who've paved that way, who've made that road a lot smoother. So you know what I'm saying, they've literally given you the roadmap to get to success. But at the end of the day, you still have to do the work. You know what I'm saying? People can lay out the roadmap and people can make that map and that road as smooth as possible, because you can see 6, 7 people, 10, 12, 20, 100 people, however many have gone the path that you want to go down. So they've documented it now, because that's the thing now, is just to record yourself, record what you're doing, to make it easier for the next person, so that they can avoid those holes that you probably fell into, that they probably fell into, because nobody was showing them at the time. So now they've made this road as smooth as possible, but at the end of the day, you still have to walk this road. You still have to drive this road. You still have to go down this road and do the work. You know what I'm saying? They can't do the work for you. They can show you how to make the work easier than it was for them, and they can show you how to make it more efficient and get to the finish line a little faster than maybe they did. But at the end of the day, you're the one who still has to run the race. You're the one who still has to go down the road and do the work. And for me, that's what I want to talk about today, is just, are you willing to do the work? That's something that you really have to ask yourself. You know what I'm saying? I know I've talked about it in other videos. Like, people love asking for help. People love asking, hey, I need help doing this, I need help doing that, or why they don't get out of these situations or whatever. And sometimes it's because they're just too comfortable. Other times it's because they know to get out of this situation, it requires work. It requires work to get out of the situation. It requires work to stay out of that situation and not to go back to that situation. And some people just aren't willing to put in the work. So at the end of the day, you really have to ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? Because even if you want to take something as simple, or I won't even say as simple, if you want to take something that may look as simple as streamer, somebody who just gets online and plays video games all day but makes whatever it is that they make, we only see maybe 10% of the work that they do, because all we really see is them hop online and do the video games. We don't know how much work they're putting in behind the scenes to to get to, or how much work they put in behind the scenes to get to that point. We just don't know. We're just seeing the fruits of the labor. We don't know what the labor is. We don't see how much labor went into this, to where now they at a point where they can sit down, turn the camera on, and just play 2K, play Madden, whatever, and get maybe millions, hundreds of thousands, whatever. Even if you're getting $10,000, still that's $10,000 to sit down and play a video game, and everybody sees that part and they're like, "Ooh, I want to do that." But because they don't see how much work went into getting to that point, they don't realize, okay, wow, this is way more work than I thought. So for me, quit getting into things just because it looks easy. Get into it because you have a passion for it, because it's something that you're very skilled at. If you know that you're very skilled at games come easy to you. Games that are harder for other people just seem easier to you. Then get into it because of that, because of your passion and your love for the game, the video games. You know what I'm saying? Don't get into it because you're looking at it like, whew, man, I just got through working my 9 to 5. My back hurt, my feet hurt. It's got to be an easier way. And then as you scroll and you see somebody who just talked about how they got a $30,000 check from whatever site because they went on there and streamed for about 6 hours playing video games, playing Fortnite or whatever. And now you look at it like, oh, well, I can pick up a controller and I can do that. And that part is true. So you can go and stream the game. You can stream yourself doing the game, but again, without knowing all the other work that went into getting this person to the point to where they can get 30,000 for, playing the game for 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that work in. There's more to it than that. There's always going to be more to it than that. It's going to always be some type of work that goes in, because nobody's going to just give you $30,000 just because. And if they do, it's because you already have a name coming into a situation. You're already famous for something else, and now you're coming into this new realm, and people, you know what I'm saying, you're going to already get views because of your name, because of who you are. But even then, when that situation happens, you put your work in somewhere else to build your name up, to bring it to this new platform. So no matter what, you're going to have to do work. So if you're looking to try to get into something and not do the work, just don't get into it, because it's not worth it. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. Anything worth having is worth working hard for. You got to do those things. You got to work hard to get it, and you're going to have to work just as hard to keep it. You know what I'm saying? Because getting it is half the battle. Keeping it is the other half, And I don't really talk about relationships on this channel, but that's the same thing if you want to take something like marriage. Cool. You've worked very hard to build yourself up, to build your relationship up to the point to where y'all get married. Cool. Now you got to go and work just as hard to keep the marriage, to keep the energy level high, to keep the happiness, to keep all of these things. Is just as much work, if not more. You know what I'm saying? It's a finish line in one aspect, but it's a starting point in another aspect. So, marriage can't just be your finish line, because you got a lot of work to do after marriage. You know what I'm saying? In your marriage. But, that's enough of a relationship. But to me, I'm just saying that to prove a point. You have to work so hard to get something, and then you got to work just as hard to keep it. You don't just get it and then that's it. Okay, I can relax now. No, now that you got it, you got to keep it. You got to maintain it. You got to grow it. You got to continue to grow it. And so if you're not willing to put that work in whatever field that you're choosing to do, then number one, you don't really want it. You know what I'm saying? You might want what comes with it, but you don't want to work to achieve it. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody can talk about wanting to make money by being a content creator, or make money being in the real estate, being in the real estate, or being in the restaurant business, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Anybody can talk about making money, because when you see the money, of course you want it. That's to me, I understand that mindset of wanting it, of seeing it, seeing somebody come from where you come from, or come from the type of background that you come from, and see them go out and make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, whatever it is that they're making. And I can understand the appeal of it. But what I know is that person had to work hard to get to that point. That person didn't just up and decide on a Monday, hey, let me go get into this real estate or this restaurant business, and then by Friday they had millions of dollars in their pockets. It don't work like that. They probably said on Monday, let me go do this, probably failed a bunch of times, and then by the time, you know what I'm saying, a year later, now they're just now making some good money, making some decent money. And then maybe 4 or 5 years later, now you're seeing, or maybe 2, 3 years, I don't know. But years later, now this is where you're seeing the hundreds of thousands or the millions or tens of millions of dollars come in. But that's what I'm saying. You gotta, my mom always says, you know my glory. You see my glory, but you don't know my story. So you see the shine. You see how shiny I am. You see me talk about the money and the success that I have. So you see that part of it, but you don't see where the hard work that went into this. You don't see the grind that went into this. You don't see the dedication that went into this. And to me, that's the more important part of the story, because because that part of the story is what you need to hear. That's what you need to know, because you need to know, hey, I failed several times. When I got into this, I made terrible deals. I signed terrible contracts. I messed up plenty of times. I made bad decisions here and here, but I didn't give up. I kept grinding because this is what I wanted. I know where this road leads me. I know what it looks like at the end of this road. So let me keep going until I make it to the end of this road. I know what it looks like. I know how amazing that is, and I know how good I am at it. But because I don't have the guidance that I needed at the time, I had to go through those pitfalls. I had to go through those tough times. I had to go through those hard roads, and everybody's going to have to go through them. You just may not have to go through as many as I did, because now I'm recording and I'm documenting everything and I'm putting it out there. And I'm telling you, hey, watch out for this. Hey, don't go nowhere near that. Hey, if this situation looks like this, then that's kind of a shady type of situation. So just be careful. Not telling you not to do it, but just telling you do your research and be careful, because I went in head first and did it. And that set me back a couple of months. That set me back 8 months, whatever the case may be. That's the story you need to hear. You know what I'm saying? It's not now I'm making millions of dollars. Cool. That's a story. That's a story you want to hear. The story you need to hear is the grind that went into it. The 3-4 years of messing up, failing, making mistakes, making bad choices, finding the right type of mentors, finding the right type of leadership, finding the right guys. Those are the stories that you need to hear, because that's what you're going to need. Your want for easy money ain't gonna last forever. Because this is coming from personal experience. I know how much when your only drive is, man, I want some easy money. When that's your only drive, that goes away after the first couple of weeks. Especially if it's hard, especially if it's going to be hard work. If this is something completely new to you, so you're starting from ground zero and you want to reach level 100. If your only thought is, man, I want some easy money, you're not going to make it to level 4, 5, 6 because of the hard work required to get there. So you have to want it. You have to really want it to get to level 4, 5, 6. So again, I'm not even talking levels 20, 30, 40, 50. I'm talking just getting to level 4, 5, 6. All the work that goes into it, especially again, if this is something brand new to you. And so I feel like that's where a lot of people fail, is because they don't realize how much work goes into this. And they don't think about what it is that they really want from this. They just may say, oh, I really want the money. And that's the main thing. That's the main thing motivating you. Okay, if that's the main thing that's motivating you, what happens when you put work into this and for those first couple of months don't no money come in? Or any money that comes in is just small money. You making more money working your 9 to 5. Now what? You ready to stop, aren't you? You ready to quit because you're not doing it. You don't really want it. You just want what comes with it, and that's a big difference. You have to really want it. You have to really want whatever it is, this restaurant, whatever. You have to really want that. And the gains and the benefits and all of that stuff, the fame or whatever, the celebrity, the TV shows that come with it will come later. But you got to put that grind in to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? You got to work, because to me, I don't care who it is. If it's somebody that I like, somebody that I admire, somebody that I want to try to be like, or you know what I'm saying, whatever, the person that motivates me, I want to know their whole story. So I want to hear about, well, when I first got into this, man, it was a totally different time. It was this, it was that. I did this, I did that. I made a great decision here, made a horrible decision there, because I want to hear all of that, because that's all a part of your story. That's all a part of what it took for you to get to where you are. I feel like you do people a disservice by just telling them about how wonderful it is at the top or at whatever level you are, but you don't tell them about all of this. You know what I'm saying? You tell them you started here, and then you tell them how amazing it is here. But to me, that's just that's probably just 5-10% of the story. All of this right here is what matters. Everything in between, that's what I want to hear about, because that, to me, when people hear those things, number one, it tells them, okay, it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up, but I got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, the only thing that isn't okay when you fail is to give up. That's what's not okay. But it's okay to make, you know what I'm saying? It's okay that if I made a bad decision and that set me back a couple of months, that's okay. Some of the most successful people have done that, have made those mistakes, and it set them back. It may have set them back a couple of years, but they kept going, and now they are where they are because they stayed persistent and consistent. And so those are the things that I want to hear about, because those are the things that help people realize is that if this is something that I really want to do. I think that, like I said before, it's an amazing disservice to people when you just tell them about all of your glory, all the glory that comes at this top level or this high of a level, but you don't tell them the story of what it takes to get to that point. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that has to be a part of your glory. Your story has to be a part of it. People need to know the story that went into that glory. People need to know the pain, the hard times, the long nights, the whatever that went into this. They need to know, hey, in the beginning, I wasn't making enough to quit my job, so I still had to work my job and try to do this full time. So, man, just know that in the beginning, you gonna have to grind, but stay consistent, and you'll get there. These are the things that people need to hear, because sometimes people get it in their head, because we all think differently. We all hear things differently. We all interpret things differently. So some people will see your story, see your glory, and they won't even think about your story. They're just focused on their glory. So they're going to assume that I do this consistently for a month, and I might not see that person's type of money, but I'll see some type of money. I'll see some type of success. And that isn't always the case. Sometimes it might be, other times it isn't. Sometimes it may take 3 months. Sometimes it may take a year and a half. Who knows? Because everybody's situation is different. But to me, when you at least hear the story, you can at least go in knowing, better understanding. Number one, like I said, the number one thing is you're going to fail at some things. That's okay. Just don't give up. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some setbacks. That's okay. Just keep pushing forward. You're going to see people start after you started, or start at the same time that you started, and they're going to move at a faster pace than you. That is okay. Just stay in your lane and continue to run your race, because I feel like that's another thing that messes people up is you look at somebody who started with you or somebody who started after you, and they're, you know what I'm saying, you see their success, but you got to realize everybody's running a different race. Even though we're all doing the same thing, you got to understand on my side of the road, it might be raining. So I got to slow down while it's raining. And on that side of the road, it might be bright and sunny. So their career is just doing this, you know what I'm saying, and rising, and they smooth sailing for them. Whereas mine might be on a bumpy dirt road and it's raining. So I got to slow down. But guess what? At some point, you never know, the roads might reverse, where now my path has gotten smooth, and I got sunshine, and now they going through those rainy days. Rainy days are going to come. Quit focusing on what the next person is doing, because you don't know what their situation is. They might have somebody backing them. You might be doing it by yourself. So yes, their path is going to be easier. Your path is probably going to be a little rougher, but that's okay. Focus on your path. Don't focus on what they're doing, because if you try to do 90 like they doing 90, Now you messing up because it's raining on your side. It might be sunny on their side, so they can afford to do 90 going through their career. You can't afford to do 90 right now. You got to do 40 because it's raining. You see them, now you trying to play catch up, and now you done wrecked, and now you done put yourself back. You know what I'm saying? So focus on your race. Focus on what you're doing. Stop focusing on what the next person's doing because you don't know what their situation is. Because you might look at them and think that they're ahead. They might look at you and think that you ahead, not knowing you got a bunch of stuff going on and you struggling. But because you smiling though, because you doing what you supposed to be doing and you're not complaining, they probably thinking, man, bro over there killing it. I ain't never seen him come in, or I ain't never seen her come in a day and not be smiling. I never seen him come in a day and not, have a joyous expression on their face. You just never know what people are thinking. Just like, you know what I'm saying? Just like they don't know what you thinking. You might think they're ahead because they just went out and bought something that you can't afford right now, whatever the case may be. But stop focusing on other people's races. Stop focusing on other people's motion. Let their motion be their motion. You don't know what their conditions and their situations are. Focus on yours. If you're going through some rainy days right now, go through your rainy days. If you're going through a struggle right now, go through your struggle. There's always something to learn in those rainy days. There's always something to learn in those struggles. Go through it. Learn that lesson. So that way, the next time you see some rain about to come, now you know how to get out the way. Now you know how to prevent it. Or if it's something, that it's something that's even avoidable. You know what I'm saying? Because some rainy days you cause because of your decisions. So once you learn that lesson, because now you had to go through those rainy days, you had to go through those struggles, you've learned, and now you know, okay, I know how to avoid this. So now you see that same struggle getting ready to come, you know how to avoid it because you learned from the last time. But see, when you don't go through struggles, or when you got somebody backing you and everything's smooth and you don't have to go through those struggles because they're taking care of it, and then they leave but they don't show you. Now those struggles going to hit hard for you because you don't know what you're doing. So it's okay to struggle. It's okay to go through those rainy days, but go through them. Don't try to cheat yourself or try to cheat the situation and get out of them quick. Learn that lesson. Make sure you understand why you're here right now. Make sure you understand why you're going through these rainy days, why you're going through these struggles. So that way you never have to go through it again. You know what I'm saying? It's going to help you in the long run to just go through it, figure it out. So that way you can avoid that rainy day or that struggle going forward, because it'll always be in the back of your head. Nope, I remember when I had to go through that. I remember when I had that setback because of something similar to this. Now you know to avoid that situation, or you know to make sure that you do that situation differently than you did the first time. So go through your struggle. Quit worrying about other people's races. Quit worrying about how fast somebody else is rising because they came after you. You don't know what their conditions are. You don't know what the future holds. You know what I'm saying? Just stay focused on your race and what you're doing. And, that leads me into another thing, which is something that I used to do, or I won't say used to, because something that I'm trying to stop doing, and that's complaining about something that I'm not willing to put the work in to change. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said in that example before, somebody might think that you're ahead because no matter what you might be going through internally, externally, you're just smiling. You got that smile on your face. You're just joyous. You're always brightening up people's day, or every time you come in the room, your smile brightens up a room, and everybody thinks, man, that dude, but they don't know that you going through so much, or you struggling or whatever, because you just choosing not to openly or outwardly complain about it. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, while you're on your journey, while you're working, while you're grinding, whatever, there's nothing wrong with complaining. I'm not telling you don't complain. I'm not telling you to never complain, because that's not realistic. Of course you're going to complain about things. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to complain about it, then put the work in to fix whatever it is that you're complaining about. If you're complaining about how your job, cool, what are you doing to fix it? Are you talking to your managers? Are you looking to find another job. If you're complaining about the people around you, are you having those conversations with those people? Are you starting to take people out of your life? Are you starting to add new people in that kind of fit where you're going or where you're growing? Because one thing again that I've learned over these past couple of months is that as you grow, relationships change. The dynamics of the relationships change. So as I'm growing into the person that I want to be and I'm inspiring to be, I'm starting to realize that certain relationships no longer serve me a purpose. So now I can't sit here and complain about somebody that I continue to text and continue to talk to, and all they want to talk about is this and they want to talk about that. Okay, I'm the one who's continuing to text them. I'm the one who continued to bring that conversation back into my atmosphere and back into my circle. Now I can't complain about something that I'm choosing to do. You know what I'm saying? So I got to put the work in to leave that conversation or to leave that person where they are. And again, that does not mean that person needs to leave my life. It just means that what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go, that mentality and that conversation and those thoughts, I don't have any room for. Or I'm sorry, I'm not making any room for. I'm no longer making room for that. I'm no longer making room for that type of energy. I'm making the decision to no longer have that energy around me. So that way I no longer have to complain about that energy being around me because I'm doing what I need to do to make sure it's not around me. So if you're going to complain about something, cool, but do the work to make sure that you're fixing whatever it is that you're complaining, because what's the point in complaining about something, number one, that you can't control, or number two, that you know you're not, or more importantly, let me not just say number two, but let me say number two, and more importantly, complaining about something that you're not willing to change. What's the point? Only thing that you're doing is continuing to dig that hole of negative energy, because it's already negative energy, because whatever it is that you're complaining about, you no longer want it around you. But it's even more so because it's already around you and you don't want to do the work or you don't want to do what's necessary to get it away from you. So it's already around you, it's already in your atmosphere. But now you're making it worse by constantly talking about it in a negative light. That's all you want to do is complain about it, and that's fine. But my thing is, why complain about it? Why continue to nag about it? Why continue to talk negatively about it if you know that you're not going to do anything about it? If you know you're not going to change it? If you know you're not going to put in the work to try to help repair it? Like, even if you know it could be repaired, even if you know it's something that could be fixed, a relationship or whatever that could be fixed, a friendship that could be fixed, whatever, but you don't want to put the work in because you understand that it's going to be a lot of work to fix this, because there's a lot of damage that was done to this friendship, or there was a lot of damage done at work that you got to now put in a lot of extra work to mend. But you would much rather just sit there and complain about it than to put the work in to fix it. And to me, that makes no sense. But I get it. There are people out there who are just like that, and I understand. But again, my thing is that same amount of energy that you're putting into complaining about it, you can put into either removing yourself from it, removing it from you, or trying to fix it. You see what I'm saying? But I guess it's all about perspective. Some people might just feel like it's just easier to complain about it. And I get it from the standpoint of effort, maybe. Maybe it is just easier to talk about something, but why I say it's easier to try to fix it or remove it is because once you put that energy into fixing it, or once you put that energy into removing it, once it's fixed or it's removed, now it's done. Now I don't have to put any more negative energy into it. But constantly complaining about it and not doing anything about it, you'll forever complain about it. So you're going to forever extend negative energy into this, because you're not trying to change it. You're not trying to fix it. You're not trying to do anything for it. So that energy that you're using, you're going to forever use. But if you take that energy and try to fix it, or try to remove it, or remove yourself, you know what I'm saying? Now, once that's done, it's fixed or it's removed. Now that frees up that negative. Now there's no longer negative energy there. You no longer have to extend negative energy. You no longer have to take time putting energy into it, trying to or put as much energy into it trying to fix it. Now you still have to put energy into it to maintain it. You got to still put energy in it to make sure it stays where it is at that neutral or positive energy. You want to make sure you're putting time, effort, energy in to make sure it stays neutral, it stays positive, but you're not putting nowhere near as much energy into it as when it was a negative thing and you were just complaining about it every single day. Now you can talk about it maybe 2 times a week as opposed to having to talk about it every single day, because when you just in that miserable state, that's just what you like to do. You just like to, for whatever reason, you like to attract more misery. So naturally, you're going to want to talk about the things that make you miserable. But much rather see you do the work to better that situation, or just to remove yourself altogether from it. That way you don't have to talk about it anymore, because it's done, it's gone. And and if you still choose to bring it up once it's done, then again, that's on you, and that's something that you need to heal from and you need to fix from on the inside. But, you just got to make sure that you got the right type of energy around you, because when you have negative energy around you, negative energy is just going to attract more negative energy, and negative energy is going to bring the negative out of you. So that's why, for me, that was one of the reasons why I had to take those. I had to cleanse myself of my own negative energy, because I'm not going to sit here and act like it was just everybody else being around me negative, but it was just my negative energy that I had. So I'm doing my best to cleanse it, and I do that through the podcast. I do that through the videos that I send out. I do that through putting the work in to smile, laugh, make other people laugh, make sure that I have good energy around me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that's not to say people can't complain around me, but my thing is, if you're going to complain around me, then let's have resolutions too, because I don't want to just hear complain and no resolutions. And obviously there's a difference between venting and complaining. If it's venting, if it's just something you need to get off your chest and it's through, cool. But if it's going to be a complaint where we're talking about it every single day, let's come up with a solution. Because if not, then at some point I got to remove you too, because I don't need the constant negative energy if we're not talking about solutions to where we can either make it a neutral thing or make it a positive thing, or we can just get it out the way so that way it doesn't bother you anymore. So, you just got to make sure that you're watching the energies around you. Got to make sure you're watching who you're allowing around you, you know what I'm saying? Because again, the wrong type of person around you can change your motivation, can change how hard you're working, can change your focus point, because your focus could be on your goals, and then you start letting a bunch of the wrong people around you, and now your focus has changed, and now your goal done shifted, and now next thing you know, you going in a totally wrong direction than where you need to go, because you're allowing the wrong people in. So man, it's time to start locking in, focusing on your goals. It's time to start doing your goals to achieve, just starting the day, because the only way you'll get to the finish line is by starting the race. That is the minimum requirement that you have to do, is start the race. If you never start the race, you never see the finish line. You're never going to see. That's the only way that you ensure that you don't finish the race, is that you never started. Time to, just start the race today. That's all. That's the minimum requirement to reaching your goals, to seeing your goals come true, is at the very least starting the race. Even if it's just 1-2 steps, you know what I'm saying, ahead. Like I said in the video earlier this week, you don't have to have it all mapped out, but you at least need to start. It's time to start your race, because you don't know how further the finish line is getting from you. You know what I'm saying? It's time to start your race. It's time to start doing whatever it is that you want to do, that you're trying to do, whatever your goal is. It's time to start. It's time to start the day, and whatever fears or whatever distractions, whatever procrastinations that you have, it's time to start letting those things go one by one. As someone who's been a procrastinator their whole life, I can understand how unrealistic it is to tell someone, okay, stop procrastinating, and they just stop cold turkey. They no longer procrastinate. That's not realistic. But day by day, you can start, whatever those projects that you were supposed to do around the house, just start doing them one at a time, getting one done, start another one. And just start working on your procrastination little by little, because I understand how hard of a hurdle that is to jump over, especially if you're like myself and it's been over 25 years of procrastination. It's kind of hard to let that go in a couple of months. It's so hard to let that go in a day or whatever. It's not realistic. But if you want it bad enough, then you'll work at it. You'll work at your procrastination. You'll work at cleaning up your bad habits if you want it bad enough. But you got to understand that it is work. It's gonna be work. No matter what you see on the outside, you got to understand maybe all you seeing is the glory. You're not seeing the story. So it's going to be work. It's going to be pain. It's going to be hard days. It's going to be tough times. It's going to be all of that. But I'm a firm believer in it's worth it if that's what you really want. All of this stuff, all of this muck, all of this grind, all of this dirt that you got to grind through, you got to get it out the mud. All this stuff that you got to do is worth it if that's what you really want. If that's your finish line, if that's your goal, then it's worth it. You just gotta make sure that you remind yourself of that during those hard days, during those grind days, during those struggle days, during those rainy days, during those hard times. Remind yourself that it's gonna be worth it when you get to your glory, when you get to your purpose, when you get to operating in your purpose. It's going to be worth it. So, you know what I'm saying? So in those tough times, you gotta remember what your purpose is, where you're going, what your finish line is, and how beautiful it's going to be once you get there. And you'll be able to tell your story to the next person and hopefully help them ease into what it is that they're trying to do. But remember to just keep going, keep grinding, stay positive, and just make sure that you always focused on your goals, and just be prepared to work for anything that you want. Relationships, dreams, whatever, you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work to get it, and you're going to have to work to keep it and maintain it at a high level. So, man, let's just get out there and work. Again, Happy New Year's. I hope everybody's New Year is going well. I hope everybody's sticking to their resolutions and doing what they do. And, of course, man, leave a comment, like, comment, and subscribe, and share the podcast. Let's continue to keep growing. And everybody, man, have a blessed day.